Hey there, welcome to my new YouTube channel, Craig Strickland, Banyan Studios. The reason that I am starting this channel is to interact with people like you that have an interest in building things. Maybe you want to actually build what I'm showing you how to build, and maybe you just want to watch. And you'd like to know what perspective I have on life as it relates to what I'm doing. I'm the founding pastor at Hope Presbyterian Church. I started it in 1988, and I've recently begun to retire. And this has been a great way for me to spend my time during retirement. And I hope you'll join me. If you'll just push the like button and again the subscribe button, I'll give you notification every time I'm making a video. Maybe it would help you. It definitely would help me. So please push those two buttons and let's take this journey together. And so when I began to retire, I began to have more time on my hands and was able to return to one of my first loves. And in the spirit of helping people, I've discovered from many posts on Facebook and other social media platforms that there are a lot of people that are interested in what I do with wood. And some of them would actually like to do it, would like to learn how to do it. Others of them are just curious. And so part of my goal here is to introduce people to woodworking at a very simplistic level. And the other part is helping people through life. And I've discovered that many of the principles that are lasting principles that I use every day in fine furniture building and wood turning are also problems that we all face from time to time. And so I hope to talk about both of those things in my YouTube videos. If you like just the idea of that, if you will press the like button and the subscribe button so that you're alerted to whenever there's a new video out, I'd really appreciate it. And I think it'll be fun. And one thing I would tell you from the start, I'm not a master craftsman.
Whoa. Get it? Yeah. Do you want to explain what just happened?
Yeah. I'm an everyday guy. I know a little bit about wood. I learn every day, but I don't walk into this with a degree in craftsmanship or in fine woodworking. I'm just a regular guy like you. And I'm partially self-taught, and I've had some great mentors along the way as well. And so I want to spend some time regularly, maybe a couple times a week, walking you through how to build projects. And we'll look at a variety of different projects. If you just hang in there with me, you'll see us go from one project to another. So you might not like the idea, let's say, of turning fountain pens, but you would like to know how to make a table or how to turn a wooden bowl. And so, and you'd like to know how that applies to life as well. So if that appeals to you, again, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button as well so you're alerted to whenever a new video comes out. And that will tell you and help me immensely. So I appreciate your interest in what we're doing. The first thing I'd like to talk about is material. And the material that I want to talk about today is not particularly for making tables or benches or things like that. It's more things that I do with a lathe. And with some exceptions to that, but you can see you can use lots of different kinds of material. Here, for instance, are some sample pieces of wood that I would glue together to make a table. Obviously, much bigger pieces, but I would use either a piece of walnut like this, or I might use a piece of poplar like this, or any one of a number of different woods. And I'll explain those woods as we go and what makes them good and what makes them not so good for certain projects. But you can use almost any type of material that you want to use to make things with wood. And so I'm going to focus for a few minutes on some of the things that I love to use and give you an idea of how creative you can be. Because to me, the most fun in what I do is creating stuff out of nothing or seemingly nothing. For instance, here is a piece of scrap wood. You've heard that expression, one man's garbage is another man's treasure. Well, this is a good example of a guy's garbage in Texas. I was at a big festival in Texas where people buy and sell furniture and things of that nature. And there was a whole stack of this, and I asked the guy that had them, what are you going to do with these? He says, firewood. And I said, could I have some of it? And he said, sure, take as much of it as you want. So this is one of the pieces that I took. It's a part of a stump, as you can see, and it's rotted in places. You see there, I just pulled off a piece of it. And you might think, well, what in the world would you do with that? Well, let me give you an idea of what I might do with it. I might drop it in a bucket of resin, and dye that resin, and make it in the shape of a bowl. And this whole section here would be red or blue or clear, whatever, black, whatever color I might decide. And once I got it in the resin, then I would put it on my lathe and turn it into a bowl. And I think it'd make a really cool looking bowl. I'll have to stabilize the wood first. The resin will help with that. But it's a fascinating piece of wood. It'd make a great bowl. Might even make it would make a great small lamp. So there's an example of how I take something that anybody else would put in the fireplace and make something beautiful out of it. And I'll give you an example of that very thing. Here is another, this is a little bowl with flowers in it. You can see as I turn this around, this is the same sort of bowl as the one I just showed you. And it was junk wood, rotted on the inside, and when I first put it on my wooden lathe to turn it, it exploded. And you can see right here where it exploded that literally it came half in two. And, like life, a lot of times, our lives explode, and you got a choice when your life explodes. You can quit, or you can say, I got to fix this. I got to take whatever steps I got to take to make it right. Won't be easy. It'll be hard, but I can do it. And I think woodworking is one place that you see your failures right up front and centered. There's no doubt when you fail. And so one of the things that I've been reminded about these last couple of years is how failure can turn into success. So I took this bowl right here, and I took glue, and I glued it back together and put it back on the lathe and cut a hole in the center of it with my lathe and made a little plant bowl out of it. I think it's beautiful. You might not like it. That's okay. But I love it. It's off center, as you can see, on purpose. And I think it'll make a great little piece. Let me give you another example. You see deer antlers here. If you see those deer antlers, I could show you, I will show you a pin like this one that's actually made from deer antlers. And I take these antlers and I cut them to size. And once I cut them, I put a hole in the center of them and a brass barrel inside that hole. This is a deer antler. I just cut it and drilled a hole down the middle of it. And it's ready now to put on the lathe with one other piece and to make a pin out of it. And that'll be a beautiful pin in a few days. And what a great pin to have out of deer antler. It doesn't look anything like deer antler when it's finished. It's sort of an ivory color, and it's beautiful when it's finished, made from deer antler. All kinds of materials that can be used. And you get these beautiful pins out of it. This is a pin that's made out of a box elder burl, and it's one of the prettiest pins I've ever made. And I make this pin. I've made 3 or 4 of them. I've had the original stock to make them. They're called blanks, and you can make those blanks out of anything. Here's a blank that's acrylic. You see, it's just a piece of acrylic, and I'll cut it in half, and I'll show you in another video exactly how we do this. But I'll cut it in half, drill a hole in the middle, put a barrel in it, put it on a lathe, and turn it into a pin. It'd be a beautiful UT orange pin. This is just a piece of wood. Again, just a blank that I'll make a wooden pin out of. This is another blank. You can't tell it today, but this is olive wood from Bethlehem, actually certified from Bethlehem. It's got a beautiful grain to it. It'll make a beautiful pin one day as well. And still another piece of wood that I'll use to make pins. And you can see some of the pins that are made. This is a great illustration of a pin made from wood. This one is made from acrylic, and you can see it's in a camo pattern. And it's just different. You don't see them very often. And you may be thinking, how in the world did you learn to do that? I taught myself how to do it. I watched a lot of YouTube videos with guys that are much smarter than me and probably much better craftsmen than me. I failed about 10 times in a row and tore up 10 pins in a row. And eventually I climbed that learning curve and began to make pins. Here's another example of material that I use a lot. This is an acrylic bowl, as you can see, with burl walnut inside of it. And it's white with, of course, wood colors inside of it. And I take the pieces of wood and drop them in a bucket full of resin epoxy and let it, I put it under 55 pounds per square inch of pressure, let it set up, and then I put it on a lathe and turn it into a bowl. I also make lamps from these as well. This one happens to be white, but I've made them in black and blue and red, and they're stunning when they're finished. So you can see with all kinds of material that you can do really creative things. A piece like this, which I picked up with some of the other scrap wood, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I don't know. I like it. And so I'll ponder that for a while, and one day I'll say, you know what, I think I'll try to make a whatever out of it. Now let me tell you, one thing I don't like is failure. I can't stand to fail. We all fail sometimes. I fail sometimes. But I don't like failing. And so oftentimes when a piece like this piece explodes, that's one big failure. And I can just say, well, that's failure, and throw it away, or I can figure out how to make a success out of it. And so I try to do that. I can't do it every time, but it's a great life lesson. Whenever I fail, I look for ways that I can become successful with that project. Might take me a long time. I've got a bowl that has failed, 8 or 10 times. It's been on the lathe 8 or 10 times. I've glued it, re-glued it. It falls apart. I glue it back together, turn it some more, and it's not done yet. I've been working on it for 4 or 5 months. Failure is not an option to me. I'll keep working on it till I figure out how to make it right. So that's a little bit about the kinds of wood that or materials that I use on an everyday basis, not to mention the things that you would expect: walnut, poplar, maple, cherry, ash, all woods that we use in making furniture and turning things on a lathe as well. And we'll show you how that works from time to time. Maybe most importantly is I want you to get the message that I'm not an expert. I'm just an everyday guy, just like you. And if you want to learn to make a pen, I'll show you. I'll show you what material you need, what equipment you need, exactly how to do it. And you can find probably 50 other people on the internet that do the same thing. However, I want to break it down so that it's simple enough that you could walk in my shop and I could spend a couple of hours with you and you'd walk out of here with your own pen. This is going to be a great journey. I look forward to taking it with you. Thanks.
Okay. Perfect.
Great.
But the intro.
Yep.
Can you do that one more time?
Sure.
Just keep it at 1. I think you were at 1 minute.
Okay.
Just keep it at 1 minute. Just kind of the same thing.
Okay.
I just want it different.
Yeah.